Sometimes the most revealing moments happen when nobody expects them. Not during a scandal. Not during a headline-grabbing controversy. Just an ordinary Monday morning, cameras rolling, coffee still warm in the green room, and a talk show host casually mentioning something she probably wasn't even planning to bring up. And yet, within seconds, that offhand comment turned into one of the more talked about moments to come out of Live with Kelly&Mark in recent memory. Here's what happened. During the show, Ripa let it slip that she owns a t-shirt. Not a designer piece, not something with any particular fashion significance, just a shirt she likes to wear off camera, on her own time, away from the studio lights. But the phrase printed across it? According to Kelly herself, it's so bold, so unfiltered, that saying it out loud on live television could get her and Mark pulled off the air. She never revealed what it says. And honestly, that's the part worth sitting with for a second. Because in an industry built on oversharing, on manufactured vulnerability, on hosts performing candor for the cameras, Kelly did something almost countercultural. She teased a piece of herself and then drew a line. She let viewers know there's a version of her that exists entirely outside the studio. A woman who owns something a little irreverent, a little too honest for daytime television, and then she protected it. She didn't perform full transparency. She protected a piece of privacy in real time, on a live broadcast in front of millions of people. That's not nothing. That's actually kind of rare. Think about how many public figures build entire brands around pretending there's no line, no boundary, no version of themselves that isn't available for consumption. Ripa, after more than 2 decades in the daytime television spotlight, has clearly learned something different. She's learned that the most magnetic thing a host can do isn't tell you everything. It's let you know there's more, and then trust you enough to leave it there. And Mark, sitting right next to her, didn't scramble to smooth it over or change the subject. He let the moment breathe. That's a small detail, but small details are often where you learn the most about a relationship. Some co-hosts would have rushed to fill the silence, worried about dead air or about the joke landing wrong. Mark didn't. He spent enough years next to Kelly to know that when she's building towards something, the best move is to get out of the way and let her land it. That's chemistry. Real chemistry, not the kind that gets manufactured for a promo reel. It's the difference between 2 people who are simply sharing a desk and 2 people who have learned each other's rhythms so completely that they know exactly when to step in and exactly when to step back. But the shirt wasn't even where the moment ended. It was just the doorway into something even more unguarded. Almost immediately after, Kelly turned to the studio audience and asked, half joking, whether there were any women over 50 in the room. The response was immediate and loud. And what followed wasn't a punchline built for a highlight reel. It was Kelly openly describing a very specific, very relatable physical reality of aging past 50. She wasn't vague about it. She named it plainly, self-deprecatingly, without flinching, and the room responded with what she jokingly called a thunderous applause. Now, on paper that might read like a throwaway bit, a funny aside. But look a little closer because this is where the real emotional weight of the moment lives. Ripa is 55 years old, has spent more than 3 decades in an industry that has historically punished women for aging in public, and she chose, on live television, to speak about her own body changing with total unbothered honesty. No apology. No self-consciousness dressed up as confidence. Just the plain truth, delivered with a laugh, to a room full of women who apparently knew exactly what she meant before she even finished the sentence. That's not a joke about aging. That's a small act of solidarity. Because here's the thing about daytime television that people sometimes forget. It isn't just entertainment, it's companionship. It's the show playing in the kitchen while someone gets ready for their day. It's the voice keeping someone company during a long morning alone. The audience for a show like this isn't watching from a distance the way they might watch a prestige drama. They're watching with her. Beside her. And when Ripa stands in front of that audience and says, essentially, I know what your body is doing right now because mine is doing it too, that's not a bit. That's connection. It's worth asking why moments like this land so much harder than a polished, pre-approved talking point ever could. And the answer is almost always the same, because audiences can tell the difference between performance and honesty, even when they can't articulate exactly how. There's a shift in tone, a change in pacing, something in the eyes that gives it away when someone stops performing and starts actually talking. Viewers picked up on that shift instantly. That's why clips of the moment spread the way they did. Not because of shock value but because of recognition. Millions of women watching at home have felt exactly what Kelly was describing, and very few public figures are willing to say it out loud, unscripted, without softening it into something more palatable. There's also something quietly significant in how Kelly has handled the broader arc of her career lately. In that same conversation, she touched on the future of the show itself, acknowledging that she doesn't intend to be doing this forever, and that bringing in new voices to keep things fresh matters more to her than holding onto the chair indefinitely. That's not a small thing to say out loud either. A lot of people in her position spend years avoiding any acknowledgement that their time in the spotlight has a horizon. Kelly said it plainly, almost matter-of-factly, the same way she talked about her shirt and her thighs, like someone who has simply made peace with saying true things instead of comfortable ones. That thread, the willingness to be plainly honest instead of carefully managed, might actually be the real through line of Kelly and Mark's entire dynamic on that show. It's not that every moment is a grand revelation. Most days are ordinary. But when something honest slips through, whether it's a hidden t-shirt, a joke about aging, or a quiet acknowledgement that nothing lasts forever, it resonates precisely because it feels unrehearsed. And maybe that explains something bigger about why audiences have stayed loyal to Kelly and Mark specifically, in a media landscape absolutely saturated with morning shows, talk shows, and hosts competing for the exact same eyeballs. It isn't really about jokes or chemistry alone, though both certainly help. It's about trust. Viewers trust that when Kelly Ripa says something, even something small and seemingly throwaway, there's very little distance between what she's saying and what she actually means. In an era where so much media feels engineered for virality first and truth second, that kind of unguarded honesty has become its own kind of rare commodity. It's also worth pausing on Mark's role in all of this, because partnership dynamics like theirs don't happen by accident. Watching the two of them together, there's an ease that comes only from real familiarity, the kind built over decades of marriage, not months of on-air chemistry testing. He knows when to tease her, when to let her lead, and when silence is the more supportive choice than a joke. That's not something producers can manufacture. That's a couple who have learned each other in every sense of the word, on camera and off, and who bring that same trust into a live broadcast without missing a beat. So maybe the real headline here was never really about a band t-shirt at all. Maybe it was about what that t-shirt represented. A woman fully in control of what she shares and what she keeps, unafraid to acknowledge her body changing, unafraid to admit her career won't last forever, and completely comfortable letting an audience see all of it without softening a single word. Perhaps the reason so many people remain invested in Kelly and Mark isn't simply because they've spent decades in the spotlight. It's because audiences continue to see something genuine in the way they navigate life together. The teasing, the timing, the honesty that slips out even when it isn't planned. And maybe that's why moments like this stay with viewers long after the cameras stop rolling. So here's a question worth sitting with. What do you think was actually printed on that shirt? And more than that, what did this moment mean to you? Did it make you laugh? Did it make you nod along in recognition? Or did it make you think differently about how honest public figures are willing to be as they get older? Drop your thoughts below. Tell us your favorite Kelly and Mark moment, the one that made you feel like you were watching two people who genuinely like each other rather than two people simply doing a job. Because at the end of the day, that might be exactly why this couple has stayed must-watch television for so long, not despite the unscripted moments but because of them.